We are about to crack heads and twist caps for another one. Young of the gang, get him in the building. You don't want to miss this one. We going live, man. We cracking heads with Tahuti. Okay? All right, so let's run that intro. We're going to keep it clean, man. Let's run that intro while we give them time to get in here, man. This how we doing it. We're going to switch it up. We'll run that old one for you.
Young L on the beat.
Rob, say if you're new to the channel, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. This is Tahuti School of Alchemy Part 2. We're gonna get right down into it, man. We're gonna bite right down into it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because we been cracking heads and twisting caps for quite some time right now. And we gotta continue to do it. Right? We gotta go through this way. They got it set up, man. I'm telling you. Let's gotta read it, man. Tahuti class. Let's see where were we? Where were we? Hit that like, man. Let's subscribe. Hit that bell. Right? Leave a comment, man. We respond to all the comments. Ask anybody that been with us. Where we at? We left off on the alchemy part. Let's get down to it, man. Let's get right down and just bite right down into it. Now make your teeth guard on, because this is light, really. This is the basics. But we're gonna talk about alchemy, Tahuti schools of alchemy. As above, so below. As within, so without. Because you must learn to go within, or you will go without. Right? We got to crack heads and twist caps as we proceed to give you what you need. Oh yeah, shout out Red Pill. I was on Red Pill show just a minute ago. For like a brief couple minutes. Shout out to brother Red Pill and Blue Pill. Right? For letting me come on, man. That was fire, bro. The top of that with the red pill, and we gonna be doing more. We're gonna probably try to do a show together, me and Red. Like I said, this is gonna get we're gonna get like really cracking on this information, man. We bringing this alchemical class to you from Tahuti because we hear a lot of guys say they high powered alchemists and they alchemists on the land. You know what I'm saying? But me and Raw Hayes, we schooling them, man. We're gonna set this whole thing up. I'm gonna bring this information right out. This is the basics though. Right? So shout out red pill and blue pill, man. Know your knowledge, or your leisure channel, right? Go subscribe to their channel, man. And show the brothers some love. You can type in red pill and blue pill and pull them up though on YouTube. Right. So cause I be asking a lot of people down here where I'm at, do they know about the brother red pill and blue pill? I ask them a lot, do they know about the brother Rich? Because I know the brother Rich got a lot of people. And so they be saying, "Oh yeah, I know the brother Rich, or I know the brother Red Pill," because they know him from Sinetta, right? Because Sinetta got a big following too. So yeah, man, shout out to brother Red Pill and Blue Pill. All right, let's get that right. Let's bite right down into it. All right, what is alchemy? The process by which base metals are transformed into gold, also silver and gems. The base metals include iron, lead, copper, also sulfur, mercury, arsenics, to name some. Right. So one part of alchemy is to speed up and slow down the vibration of elements. Right. So we're gonna get into that part too about the atomic numbers. Each of these elements have an atomic number, and if you subtract some of the atomic number down, you can convert it into whatever element is in front of or in the back of it. Depends on you speed it up, you heat it up, you send it back to the element that it was before. So all the elements that copper consists of, when you heat it up, you speed it back up. But when you slow it down even slower, that's another level of alchemy to take it to the next metal that comes after copper, right? So speeding up and slowing down elements is part of the one set of alchemy. Mixing chemicals is a part of alchemy. Doctors are really alchemists, whether they be like the Dr. Savy type or the type that's in the hospital or the medical field. They alchemists, they just call them doctors. Um, Comedians to me are alchemists because, like I say, they stimulate the brain when they tell jokes and comedy. They release certain hormones in the brain. Man, I love to hear a good comedian. You know what I'm saying? Like Ricky Smiley, even going all the way back to Rudy Ray Moore. You know what I'm saying? Uh, RP to Bernie Mac, right? Bernie Mac is one of the guys that stood out. Bruce, you know what I'm saying? Cedric, the Entertainer, DL Hughley, all these brothers are high powered alchemists, man. To me, it's just my perspective. Like I say, everybody got their own perspective on this thing. That's what we take in our perspectives. There's no right and wrong with me. Now you can say something that might sound right crazy, you know what I'm saying? That's out like that don't, if it don't make no sense, it ain't gonna stand anyway. But if it makes sense, whatever you say, and a lot of stuff makes sense to me. Like you could tell me, well, we can go all the way out of space with this thing, you know what I'm saying? So if you're telling me and it makes sense, then I can roll with it, man. You know what I'm saying? If it sound right and reasoning, that's the way I base everything out for, sound right and reasoning. But again, to the base, right? Keep in mind what the master teacher uh of all master teachers, Tahuti, is all about, man. He the one that's here to school us and give us the real game, the real science. All right. Another definition, right? Keep in mind the word definition. Another definition of alchemy, right, is the process of taking something ordinary and turning it into something extraordinary, something in a way that cannot be explained, right? So it's also because we got to keep in mind this is what happened, man. The Spanish Inquisition and how they term words such as magic. Magic comes from the term magi who was a group of priests, which is the order of Melchizedek, all the way going back to the order of the craft of Amen Ra, right? Murdoch and Tahuti, right? This priesthood, right? All right. So what they were doing, is that because it's like a different, like I say, it's different sides to this alchemical situation. Because you got different, because people just think that it's just chemistry, or it's just like mixing chemicals, or people think that it's just you got shower work. We're gonna get into all this. This is what Tahuti is the master of all this. We're gonna get into the shadow work, the mirror work. We're gonna get into other levels of the aspect of the background movement and rhythm, and the aspect of being and the timing. Timing is everything. We're gonna break that down. Some people say time don't exist. We're gonna get in that. But you can take something from nothing. We known for that as Nubians, taking something and taking nothing and making something out of it. You know what I'm saying? We high powered alchemists on the land. We just forgot. All right. Keep in mind, Tahuti says alchemy is an art form. Now there's different types of art form out here, right? All art forms is a form of alchemy. You got martial arts, you got painting, drawing, you got what's another form? You got all these forms of art, right? Poetry, you got rap, you got so it's all art. Drawing going into the building and engineering and all that, right? So you got that part of alchemy too. So all that's forms of alchemy. Drawing, because when you say the word drawing what? Drawing down from the fourth dimension, the mental plane, where these beings, where the images of these beings are stored, based on the collectualized of the fifth dimension, and all the way down from the plane of thought, the seventh dimension, right? So everybody here that's a part. Excuse me, let me get a drink of water. This is crazy. Keep in mind, we alchemists on the land, and everybody here has a specific skill, a technique. We gotta get into all that, but it's an art form. If you were alchemist, if you come from the bloodline of alchemists, from our bloodline, from the Tahuti bloodline, from the Inky bloodline, the Anunnaki bloodline, the Sabines, the Nuwapians, right? The Israelites, the Hebrews, where some of us calling ourselves, the natives, Americans, right? We got a whole bunch of terms that we under. We all around the world. We all around the solar system. We all around the universe. Keep in mind, we big. Our family is big. It's humongous. You think because they dumbed you down to the planet and just thinking just your family on the planet. Man, your family is on billions of planets, different planets. We're gonna get into how big this thing is, right? But like I say, it's an art form. And what is an art form? A means of creativity, expression as poetry or a specific creative genre. Genres like different types of like music, different types of things, like a mixture of different types of things. And then as a sonnet based on traditional structures, standard and principles. We're going to get into principles too. Any activity or medium similarly regarded as a means for the expression for creative, impulsive, or professional expertise. Diplomacy as an art form. Diplomacy as an art form. Okay, all right. I think I said that word right. Keep in mind, reading out loud, I get funky, man. All right, but look here, check this. All right, so it's expression. Expression comes from the third dimension. The fourth dimension. It comes from the pineal gland, from sunlight, from the sun. We get our information from the sun. Hidden information coming from the sun. We all sound, man, coming from the drum. We already told you, right? So creativity and expression, right, is an art form. The expression or application of human creativity skills, and imagination, typically in a visual form, such as painting or sculptures, like building statues, or producing works to be appreciated primarily for the beauty or emotional powers. So when you bring in stuff down from the fourth dimension into the third dimension, right? You drawing stuff down, you creating these things, you thinking that's new. It's really not new. It's really coming from the fourth dimension. And what you're doing is creating a form. Form is you go into the physical aspect, the height, width, and length. We're about to get into that. But the first three aspects of this game is height, width, and length. It makes up the first three dimensions, right? Oh, look, let's get into it. Form, the element of art, right? All right, keep in mind, Tahuti upgraded me to a first degree black belt mentally. I graduated probably like about 3 weeks ago to the first degree black belt. So I'm working my way up to third degree black belt like Raw Hayes now, right? And we're working our way up, man. So some of y'all probably back down here still on the white belt, man. But don't worry, I started at the white belt and worked my way all the way up, and now I'm black belt. God, dog. This mic, man, I'm telling you, I'm about to switch this mic screen out. What is the form? What is form, right? All right. What is form? The visual shape or configuration of something. So configurations, right? The key word there, configurations. Shape. What are the three main shapes? About to get into that. So everything, it seems like everything in this third dimensional world is based on three, but there's a fourth that you got to figure out. That's really a four, is based on four, but they only give us three, and it's based, and everything is based on three, but you begin to see it's based on nine. Really, once you really work your way up, you'll see it's based on nine, and then once you get to nine, you'll see that it's really only based on one. It's really the universe is really based on one, and that's the first rule in the universe, right? That Tahuti give. We're about to break that down. All right, the visual shape or configuration of something, a particular way in which a thing exists or appear, a manifestation. So bringing things in from the mental plane into the physical realm. This is how, once you figure this game out, this alchemical game, this is how you get rich, or this is how you get wealthy. This is how you create new, not even just saying get wealthy, but this is how you create new ideas to generate, to propel us and help us make it to the future, right? You bring these new ideas in, and we're gonna tell you how to begin to optimize these ideas, because you got to create a base. We're about to get into that, right? This is the school of Tahuti, man, the school of the birds. I'm telling you, I'm one of the 32 apprentices of Tahuti. It's 32 apprentices of Tahuti, right? And there's 7 of us here right now. I only know of 2 of them that's teaching. It might be the other ones could be teaching, but I just ain't ran across them yet. So it's 32. It's 32 students of Tahuti that's here now. That was apprentice of Tahuti. I'm one of them, and we dropping it right here, man. We putting it down straight to the crime, right? Straight for the crime. Right, here we go. So bring together parts of combine to create, right, something, right? So it's like it's like fusing, because you have fuse and then you got confuse. So fuse means to combine, to bring things together, while confuse means to bring things apart. So it's like the con and pros and cons, right? Make or fashion into certain shapes or forms, right? So we talking about creation here. What they talking about is creation. The woman is doing it when her womb creates the baby, the car or the vessel for the baby's soul to be housed in. So the woman is like, and the woman, I don't know no man that ain't come out of a woman. You know what I'm saying? And we can go into even the first human classified human being came out of Mother Ninti. right? We can show you that thing in the anarchy doctrine. So it goes all the way back to even a new had a mama, even a news dad had a mama, and I can keep going back far as your brain can go. Everybody had a mama. I'm telling you, man. Murdoch had a mama. All these people you calling angels, which are really extraterrestrials who are just more advanced and come here. You call them angels and God, sons of God, and this and that. And you right in that aspect too. It's more deeper than that. Y'all right too. Everybody's right. What they saying, they just some people just talking on the least because you got the least of the kingdom, then you got the great of the kingdom. So the great is hearing what we saying, and they saying, okay, I see what's going down. Then the least is saying the same thing. They just saying then using God and angels and the Lord and these words. It's just a language barrier. All right. So things begin to take form. And keep in mind, like Tahuti told me, all this, everything I'm about to show you is in the mind. It's in the mind first. All the way, none. It's in the mind because we in like a 3D reality or a 4D reality. It's really three. It's really 4D, 5D, but it's really 9D when you break past the barriers that they put on you. The threshold. It's a threshold. If you know anything about music, they put a threshold on the music so it don't go over a certain barrier. So we got a threshold on it. It's called the seven spears. That's a threshold, and the moon plays a part in the threshold where it slows the earth vibration down like a brake pad. It's an artificial planet right there where beings live on it, right? What is in art form? An art form represents the culture of a particular people. So a form represents the culture of a particular people. Now, when you get into when you study archaeology, art forms, you'll begin to see the connection between the different tribes. Once you study the different tribe art forms, and you see, okay, this look just like the ones of this tribe, and this look they wear the same colors or they got the same patterns. Then you begin to make connections that way as a researcher. As a researcher, when you study art forms and the connection between cultures, and you see that hey, the Dogons and the Hopi got the same art form, right? Or the Shoshone and these are fall people connected between the art forms. Or these um Aztecs are connected back with the Hindus due to the hair texture and the dragon worship of the Nagas, and they connected back with Hushin in China when you see the art forms. Right, so you start studying archaeological. That means like the building structures and everything, anything that has shape. Because form, keep in mind, form is shape. So anything that has a form, if you study it, that's an art form, and you study that art form, even the style buildings downtown in Philly, you study them buildings and go over to Timbuktu, you'll see the pre archaeological structures or forms of that these same people could have built these same structures. The Moors, right? If you look at the lodge down the Grand Lodge in Philadelphia, which was the old capital at one point. Okay, let's go back to what that is. Okay, that's the elements of art form. All right, we're going right here. We got here. Creativity is a phenomenon whereby something new and valuable is formed. The creative idea may be intangible or a physical object. So, the creative idea could be uh, for like intangible, like something that's not physical. It could be just an idea on how to run your business or the idea on something new. Like it's intangible automatically. Everything is intangible before it becomes physical because the idea starts in the mind, or the item or the creative item may be intangible. So it starts in the mind, right? And then it becomes a physical object. Scholars' entrance in the creativity is found in a number of the disciplines, primarily psychological, business studies, and cognitive science. right? So just so creativity is a part of art form. It's the main thing is art form. This is part of your God power. God creates, right? Keep in mind. I know a lot of people don't like the word God. Hey man, that word God, they got a whole bunch of synonyms or breakdowns for the word God, right? But in the sense of this text, the word God is just somebody that can create. And then another definition of God is whoever's in control. We'll get into that part too. But creation is a part of what makes you God. What Jesus said, it is not written in y'all law, ye are gods. This creativity part is the part that you're supposed to learn. And they usually teach you this in the pre-K to first grade, but the schools has been subsidized to create a workforce and robots and bots instead of putting niggas on where they can start their own setup. It's all game. I'm talking in my Judge Joe Brown voice. It's all game. It's all game. God dog it. Judge Joe Brown be having him a drink here too. You can tell he had. Hey man, that dude there is sharp, bro. I'm telling you, that's one of our sharp guys on the land. He a chief on the land too. I'm telling you, Judge Joe Brown. I'm telling you. Yeah, what else I want to talk about with this? So everything it starts in the mind and then it's manifest on the third dimension. Now, some people might have some nasty stuff like they do these toys. I can't say the word. Them S toys. Whoever manifested that in this dimension is can't have. He didn't have. Uh, he had at least had some money, getting some money on his mind, and he knew some freaks or something, and they needed something, and he hooked them up or whatever. I don't know what went down with that part, but some people just what they think in their head and they make it physical is crazy, man. Especially the demons. They pull demons. They bring these demons. These people don't know that these demons get here through us drawing them down. So when you draw a monster or when you draw this creature that looks like a monster, evil looking being, and then you present them to the people, you make that being real. You just brought them into existence, and they already existed, but they want in this world. And then once you present them to the kids who are not strong enough to defend themselves from these beings, you just draw down, and now they got a way in. They got a body. They can take the kid's body. This shit is deep, man. Tahuti been schooling me, man. I'm telling you, this shit is deep. All right, so the first let me see, because we gotta go over the time. Tahuti want me to run these classes a certain time, so we got 12 minutes. We'll give it 40 minutes. Tahuti want the 40 minutes. He really wanted 30, but he said 40 is good. 40-minute tapes. So we're trying to get all the basics down for you. All right, so you got height, width, and length in this game. This is the first three dimensions. These dimensions add up to create the volume, which is the fourth dimension. They say it's time and space, but there's no such thing as space because space is always filled. Now, there is a such thing as time because time is what starts the sequence of events, which is the universal law. One event stimulates the next. We'll get into that. But the main basic three, you got to look at the principle of three, and then you work your way out from there. Keep in mind that the main three basic principles is the circle and the square, and then the triangle becomes the neutral shape, which is the three shapes, just like protons, neutrons, and electrons. We'll get into that too. Keep in mind this the cross and all these different symbols, because these symbols are not just most of these symbols were designed from astrological information. I'm telling you, man, like a star. You look at the star, right? We're gonna get into that, man. The cross from the winter solstice, right? So keep in mind about these. All shapes are art forms. Thus, art forms are forms of alchemy. All these shapes are forms of alchemy. So all shapes are forms of alchemy because it's an art form. Keep that in mind, man. What's my definition of alchemy is real broad. I'm gonna tell you. So all these forms are forms of art or alchemy. So it can be used to give a certain type of message or to set up a certain type of equation that if it's needed. Tahuti know this. All high power alchemists know this. That's why they just use how they build a base. They build a base based on these principle of three. The principle of three is the basic information in alchemy, right? So they build a situation around three in this dimension. Okay, so height, width, and length equals, if you add all that up, you get volume. Volume is the fourth dimension. They kept on saying that it was time and space. Like I say, there's no such thing as space. Space is always filled. Okay. Volume, the first dimensional object. So the space in object, which is filled with these little bitty beings you can't see on the microcosmic level called atoms, air, space, liters, right? We get into volume liters, right? The fourth dimension. All right. So we're gonna get to the 0.2, but the area is the fourth dimension. Area is another word for fourth dimension. Right? Era. Get that in mind. Don't let this go over your head. Tahuti say, don't let this go over your head. Don't let this go over your head. Right? What is volume? The volume is the amount of space object takes up. Volume is a three-dimensional measurement, so it can be measured in centimeters to the third power, or simply in liters. Liters are usually used to measure volume of liquid and or gas. Right? All right. So yeah. So the volume is the fourth dimension. We'll get to that more. The seven elements of art. You got lines, shapes, forms, because lines and shapes, lines begin to make shapes, shapes begin to make forms. Then you got space. They say space, right? Like we told you, there's no such thing as space. I can't make out this. I know there's colors. I can't make out this temperature or something. I can't make out that. Or this one. I don't know. It's blurry. Oh man, that's messed up. I can't see that. All right, then you got like tones. You got tones of colors, tones of sound. Keep in mind, we all sound coming from the drum. You got highlights, reflections. You got shadows, core shadow, cast shadow. When you're dealing with art, a lot of my painters and my guys, like you see the shadow right here, right? A lot of my guys that's expert artists or artists out there. Everybody get ready with the brother that did the paint for the young elder picture, so he can do some of the paintings in the books. All right, we just been real busy, man. We got a lot of stuff going on here. We're trying to move, and at the same time, we're trying to keep the tapes coming. We still studying. We trying to. I got my son, two sons. I gotta take care of them. So it's like a lot going on. But we keeping it busy. We keeping it cracking. We non-stop action. You feel me? Mid-tones, my high power alchemist on the drawing. Keep in mind, coloring is an art form. Coloring and drawing is an alchemy. You an alchemist if you can draw. You an alchemist if you can sing. You an alchemist if you can tell jokes and you good at it. Right? Because you could be a half decent alchemist, but you got some good jokes like Ricky Smiley and all the other good brothers, Steve Harvey and them cats who just naturally got it, and high powered alchemists, right? So we get into all that. We just talked about that. The same thing, kind of geometric shapes. You're talking about the cone. These are the ones that begin to get the four dimensional type objects. Begin to take form. Right, the cube was a square or was a line at first. Then it became the square. Then it became the cube, getting all the angles. Right, the cone was like a triangle. Right, that's been wrapped around. Right, we build our structures based on these basic rudiments, man. Tahuti taught everybody this so they can learn how to build the spear, right? The cylinder. Those basic art forms or forms began to form us on this level. So we had to, in order for our spiritual self to create our body or the mitochondrial DNA to create this form or the human body type in the DNA, mitochondrial DNA, it's got to be these them forms or all the information we just told you before has got to be encoded inside of that. The art form has got to be encoded, or alchemy type skills has got to be encoded in the DNA, man, the mitochondrial DNA to produce certain shapes and different uh, features. Long nose, slanted eyes, all that's dealing with the shape of these different shapes that we just showed you, right? So in the DNA, in the mitochondrial DNA, these geometrical forms has got to be some kind of way encoded into the DNA to produce a human form in the mother. Man, I'm telling you, man, I don't want to go too heavy and crack heads and we cracking heads and twisted caps nonstop. We got about 4 minutes. So Hootie said don't run it over 40 minutes. So we're gonna have to come back for part 2. But we're gonna talk about atoms right here real quick. Atoms, the facts about atoms. Because atoms is the smallest particle that make up the universe, the smallest particles that make up the universe. And then you can go inside of the atom and go into smaller parts than it, right? But the word atom means undivided. Atoms are the smallest particle that makes up elements, right? We got that part. An atom identifies depends on its number of protons, right? We got that. The 3 parts of an atom are protons, neutrons, and electrons. But the space between the electrons and the neutrons is vast. So atoms are 99.9% empty space. Did you hear that? That means that they only 1%, they only 0.1% light, and the rest is darkness, triple darkness. An atom is made up of triple darkness, of 99.9 triple darkness, melanin. I'm telling you, bro. Don't let this go over your head. So we got negative and positive charges. Keep in mind, we dealing with negative and positive charges. We're not dealing with good and evil, or we're dealing with good and evil, but it's really negative and positive. And then you got neutral, which is the nucleus. And keep in mind, that's 3 parts: the protons, neutrons, and the electrons. That's 3 parts. So it tells you if the smallest thing in the universe starts with 3, that tells you that there's the skills of the alchemical skills is based on 3, or the basic. When you build a platform or when you build your base, it's got to be based on 3 to start out with. We're gonna get into more of this, man. We're gonna see. We don't want to run over time because Tahuti said keep it short, because give them a half a cup, and then if they still thirsty, give them another half. So we'll finish this part, Tahuti, talking about the protons, the 3 parts. And then you can even break this neutron down into 3 parts, where you go to the quark, biop, and zealots. Where you go to another, where you go shoot to the other side of the mirror. Then you go to the other side of the mirror. We already broke that down. But on the protons, positive charges, subatomic particles found in the nucleus of an atom. So this is protons are the positive energy. And then you got the neutral. So these are the 3 types of beings. The 3 types of beings in the universe. Neutral is a neutral zone. Then you got electrons as a negative, right? So these are when you go amongst races of extraterrestrials, they got 3 different types. The 3 different types is the protons. That's supposed to be the good ones, the benevolence. And then you got the neutrons. That's supposed to be the ones that's clashing. They got both sides. Like us, we are the neutrons. We have both sides. We can choose to be proton or we can choose to be electrons, right? We are atoms. We're made up of these things, right? We can get into that too. But then you got beings that's electrons, which is considered to be the negatives, which is considered to be the ground, right? Keep in mind, these elements are all molecules or elemental structures based on atoms, or the atomic number of the atoms. And if you keep in mind, Tahuti, this is the last thing I'm going to say. If I go 50, 40 minutes, forgive me, Tahuti, this is the last thing I'm going to say till I go to part 3. All right, so hydrogen on it starts this side of the mirror at 1. And then you go to 2, which is helium. But really, it's really -1. Because as you go up on the chart on this side of where hydrogen at, you begin to get heavier in the elements. As you go higher and higher, you get heavier and heavier. So you get to heavier metals, right? So this is, and you slowing your vibration down. You're slowing the vibration down of these elements. This is part of alchemy. Now, if you begin to speed the vibration up by heating them up by the molecules, right? Because you heat ice, a block of ice, you speed the molecules up, they begin to separate. We're gonna get into that too. And they speed it up to liquid, then you keep heating it up, you speed it up to gas. So these elements are being slowed down to solids. So they get cooler as you get up to the higher point where hydrogen there, which is really -1 on the negative side of the mirror, which is why they keep the negative frame, because you're made the negative frame when they take pictures, because you're made of this side of the mirror. Your physical vessel is made up of these elements on the negative side of the frame. On we're gonna be breaking that down. We talk about the 0 point. But hey, that's all I'm gonna say to Udi. I'm gonna come back on part 3 to bless that game again. Islam, Hotep, right? Assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum, peace be unto you, right? Divine love, Ashug, throughout the boundless universe to all. Wadu.